do you enjoy the Slayer in Dragon Age The Veilguard? Do you want to be the big, just dude with it, or lady with a giant axe that murders everything into a puddle on the ground? Then have I got the build for you. This is my level 50 build for Dragon Age The Veilguard, including items and what to do in combat. So let's jump straight in, and as you can see, this is our completed skill tree, and it's scattered, to say the least. Now, a few things to point out. These are the amount of points we have to play with. Now, if you do every little thing in the game and all the little collectibles, you have around 60 points. I think that's the maximum you can put into the skill tree. As you can see, we've only got that amount. So we are going to do this as we go. Now, you can follow this step by step if you want to, or you can just respec into it. Doesn't really matter. A few things to note. Slayer, you can unlock until level 20, and then one side doesn't unlock until level 30, and one side doesn't unlock until level 40. So if you are going this level by level, take it just as you will, however you need to. But what we are going to do is we're going to work our way through here, and I will effectively show you what we're going to do. So if we start in the Warrior Core, we're going to come south to Tumbling Blades. Now, if you are following this from the very start of the game, I would suggest going to the left first. I'm going to go to the right just to get this section ticked off. So, to the right hand side, we have Rancor. Rage takes 50% longer to start to begin to decay. Rage is obviously what does your abilities, so the less of it that decays, the better. You'll be able to land more of them. To the bottom right, we have Spectral Bulwark. This is a really nice defensive build, whether you use a sword and shield or your two-handed axe or whatever. I think overall it's just a great ability. Does necrotic damage, so you get to add that to the mix. And yeah, nice little 60-second cooldown. Overall, a tremendous early game skill. To the right of that, we have Enraged. Rage generation plus 10%. Again, more rage, more abilities. To the south, Explosive Toss. Basically, you get to charge up your shield and it'll blow up. It's pretty cool. To the left of that, we have Killer Instinct. Stagger from abilities 20%. Stagger, if you fill that bar up, that equals takedowns. Takedowns are incredible damage, so the more stagger, the more takedowns. It's a nice little loop we're going to build with this, where you'll end up doing more stagger damage, you'll then be able to do more takedowns, and just a huge, ginormous circle. Now coming back to Explosive Toss, we're going to go south. We're going to Innovation, so damage versus barriers plus 20%. Loads of enemies in this game have barriers, it's crazy. Same with armor, so extra damage against these just mean you get to the actual hit points quicker, and that means you can kill them quicker. To the right, we have Enduring Rage, so your rage no longer decays below 50, allowing you to sustain it between fights, meaning you can land abilities quicker at the start of combat. And to the south, the Depth of Fury, maximum rage plus 50%, meaning you can have more rage banked up, which essentially just means you have more abilities banked up, that if you really want to against the boss, you can pile them out and just dogpile an enemy. Now, if we come back to the centre with Tumbling Blades, as I said before, if you are doing this from level 1, you want to come to the left first, and you're effectively going to make your way down here-ish, so that when you get to level 20, you can begin to unlock this. But if you get to here and you're only like level 14 or whatever, then you would put your 6 points over in this direction until you get to your level. But to the left Tumbling Blades, we have Downfall. Jump attacks guarantee critical hits if the target is knocked down. To the left of that, we have Fury of the Forge, nice early game skill. I personally do not use this in this build at the higher level, but we need it to get to the rest of the skill trees. So to the left of that, we have Decisive Finish, agile attack damage plus 10%, charged attack damage plus 10%, final attack damage plus 10%. Nice for buffing up our damage. Now, if you need to know what these are, agile is an attack triggered during the sprinting, jumping or dodging. Charged attack is when you hold down the button, obviously. And the final attack is the last attack in a chain, so you're just dealing more damage for free. To the south of that, we have Determined Death. You can now hold down your final attacks, strengthening their impacts, releasing with perfect timing as a powerful effect based on your weapon type. Again, it's just incredible to add more damage just for holding down a button. Now we're going to ignore this section of the skill tree for now. We're going to come to the right. We're going to take Velocity. Stagger from weapon attacks plus 20%. Don't forget stagger quicker, takedowns quicker. To the right of that, probably one of the best abilities in the game for a warrior, Guardian's Reprieve. Performing a takedown heals you for 250 health and grants Deflect. Deflect is amazing, so essentially you just ignore the next amount of damage from an attack that gets through to you. To the right again, we have concentration, so charged attack damage plus 10%. Remember our charged attack damage and keep track of this as it adds up, because we're really buffing up this stuff. To the right again, we have Flames of Victory. Gain flaming weapons on a successful takedown. You generate 25% more stagger from weapon hits, while flaming weapons is active. So again, if you get your takedown, you'll then end up with flaming weapons, and you can generate more stagger to get more takedowns. Therefore, also getting into this section where you'll get deflect, ignore damage, and heal up. Now to the right of Flames of Victory, we have Shellbreaker. Damage versus armor plus 20%. As I said, lots of enemies in this game have shields and armor, or barriers and armor I should say. It's a nice way of just chipping away at it. Coming back to Flames of Victory, we do need to fill out both the right hand side and the left hand side. We'll start with the left because we're only taking 2 nodes here. We're taking Staggering Charge, so stagger from charged attacks plus 20%. And to the top left, Overhand Smash. Smash abilities now deal an additional 50% damage versus armor and deal 50% more stagger. So remember that's for smash abilities. If we come back to Staggering Charge and we go to the bottom right, we've got Whirlwind, and this is a smash ability and it is phenomenal, meaning it benefits from Overhand Smash. Now, if we come back up here, we're going to take Bulwark for 10% physical resistance. We're going to take both nodes next to it. So Quick Strikes basically upgrade your strike abilities. Defeating an enemy with a strike replenishes 25 rage, meaning if you use an ability with your rage, that's a strike one, you'll get rage back if they die. It's just busted. And below that, we're going to take Concussive Smash. Hitting an enemy with a smash ability permanently reduces their defense by 20. This is great for bosses because you land a Whirlwind, and not only do you do extra damage and extra stagger thanks to Overhand Smash, you'll also lower their defense, meaning you do increased damage on top of that. Now from Whirlwind, we're going to come to the bottom right, we're going to take Heavy Hitter, heavy attack damage plus 10%, and we're going to come to the right, and we're going to get Blunt Force. Enemies are knocked down when their armor breaks, and then if you were to come back up to here, and we would do a jump attack, and because they're knocked down, it would be a critical hit. Now from Blunt Force, we're going to come to the right again, and we're going to take Shellbreaker. Damage versus armor plus 40%, so overall that is now, plus 20%. So overall that is now plus 40% from both our passives. To the right again, we have Critical Power, gain enhanced damage on critical hit kills, and enhanced damage increases the base damage by a percentage, which means if you kill an enemy with a critical hit, such as the jump from the knockdown, you are rewarded with dealing more damage. Make it make sense. To the bottom right, we have Wrath, critical damage plus 10%, and to the south of that, Arm's Reach. Upgrades your smash abilities. The effects of smash abilities cover a greater distance. The distance depends on the abilities. Basically just mean your AoE attacks now have bigger AoE. What's not to love? If we come back to Whirlwind, we are then going to come straight down to Rolling Thunder, and we need this to unlock our specialization. And that is of course the Slayer. Now the Slayer benefits us with our ultimate ability of For Golden Glory. It's a huge leaping physical attack, does very high stagger, meaning you can land takedowns even quicker. Below that, we're going to take the ability Heroic Leap, again another smash and strike ability, so it benefits from all of our passives, and it will detonate weakened. Deals high stagger as well. Now to the bottom right, we're going to take Determination, so physical damage plus 10%, and to the top right, we're going to take Striking Precision. Hitting an enemy with a strike ability grants precision. The duration of precision resets if it is already active. And precision, the next charged upon an attack will be critical. Again, just buffing our ability at getting critical hits. Now, below Determination, we are going to take the Arc of Destruction. It's a good skill. I don't really use it too often personally, but we do need it to go to the bottom right and get Harder Hits. Weapon damage plus 10%, ability damage plus 10%. A amazing passive this late in the game. And to the bottom right of that, Violent Catharsis. Expending rage heals you for 100% of the rage spent, which is incredible because as a two-handed warrior, you're not going to have as much defense as a sword and board type thing. Now coming back to Heroic Leap, to the left we're going to take Sharp Edge, so penetration plus 15%, and to the top left we are going to take Charged Smash. Smash abilities are now charged attacks. For Whirlwind, this applies only to the final hit, meaning all those passives we got for extra damage for charged attacks benefits from this. Now if we come back to Sharp Edge, below that, Two-Handed Wind Up. Really good ability. Again, not really something I think about using too often. And at least with the warrior, I did it loaded with rogue. But I will show you this in the combat. It is great. To the bottom left, decisive finish. Again, another just 10% on top of our agile, charge, and final attacks. We had one of these earlier, we now get another one, so it's just incredible. And then take both the remaining nodes in this skill tree. Fura, charge attacks generate more rage relative to charge level, and blindside. After a short delay, charge attacks deal an additional 150 damage, which is crazy. So we come back to Rolling Thunder, it's time to finish off our skills, and we're going to come to the top left and take Bulwark, 15% extra penetration. Following that along, we're going to take Executioner's Gaze. Final attacks are critical hits versus enemies with low health. Coming to the left again, Concentration, charged attack damage plus 10%. Again, all our heavy attacks are now charged, so it's just extra 10% damage. Bloody Vengeance, honestly, this isn't really a great ability. It only really works if you have a maul or a shield, but we need it to benefit from Depth of Fury, 50 maximum damage extra. Coming north, Explosive Anger, spending rage deals 200% of the cost as fire damage to enemies within 6 meters. Coming north again, Staggering Charge, so stagger from charged attacks plus 20%. More stagger, more takedowns. To the right, Grappling Spear. Now if you wanted to choose to use this, I wouldn't say no. I personally don't use it in this build. However, we do need it to go to the right and get Heavy Hitter. Heavy attack damage plus 10%. Now if we come back to the Fury of the Forge, we do still have these skills here we're going to benefit from. So we're going to take Decisive Finish as we've shown before, and we're going to round out with Determined Death. So this will strengthen basic heavy attacks, we showed you this before. However, if we come south, Wrath, critical damage plus 10%. To the left, Incite Violence, generate 15% more rage from weapon attacks. To the south, Staggering Finale, so stagger from final attacks plus 20%. And then coming back up to the north, Underestimated, light attack damage versus health 10% extra. And then both the nodes here, Punisher, damage dealt by strike abilities versus enemies with low health increases by 25%. And the scope of area abilities is greatly increased. So overall, we got a nice little build that's just focused on turning charged attacks into normal attacks, building up that stagger bar, dealing heavy damage, and getting takedowns. Now, if we go over our items, obviously you might not have all these items yourself. They might not be upgraded, or they might be more upgraded. I've picked ones that I think best fit fully upgraded per se. So, for example, if I just show you on one of my armors, Orchestra's Longcoat, I obviously don't have the upgrades unlocked, but if I did, this would still be the armor I choose. So I'm giving you the best option here. Obviously, if you don't have this or you have better ones, try and take things that have this sort of stat array. So we start with the one-handed weapon, we're going to take the Woodsong Cleaver. Great physical damage, great stagger, but more importantly, 15% rage generation, 100% rage generated from taking damage. Barrier and armor damage is increased by 1% for every 2 rage. Regenerate rage over time while in combat, and I put a rune of 20% damage at low health. For a shield, the Bandit's Bulwark, really good stagger, 20% heavy attack damage, 25% damage versus armor. Gain immovable when breaking an enemy's armor, and you're going to do that a lot in this game. And immovable, immune to physical reactions and interruptions. Gain 50% penetration while immovable is active, and I put a rune of 15% damage at high health. So we've got a nice balance here between high health and low health. Now you're probably going to be using your two-handed weapon in this build, and I wouldn't blame you at all, which is why I like the Elven Rockbreaker. Incredible stagger, almost 500 physical damage, 15% rage generation, 8 rage on a kill, gain enhanced damage when expending rage 3 times in short duration, maximum rage increased by 50%, and I put a 25% stagger rune on the item. For a helmet, I really like the Caceres Double Hat, so 15% rage generation, 25% stagger on ability use, 30% ability damage if all shared the same ability type, 25% ability cost refunded on impact, and I put a 10% ultimate generation on there. So again, boosting our rage to get those abilities quicker. Once we get the abilities, 25% extra stagger from doing them, more stagger, more takedowns. For armor, I know it is light armor, but it is great. 15% damage versus health, 15% light attack damage, 25% final attack damage versus health. Defeating an enemy deals 150 physical damage to nearby enemies is crazy. And I put a rune of 30% defense on it. Now, this is a glass cannon type build, most two-handed builds are, but I just think this is incredible. Now, for your items here, the Tincture Kit, really good healing, plus 25%, and a revival charge. For an amulet, I really like the Pale Reflection, so 20% damage versus enemies with low health. Standard enemies are always considered to have low health, it doesn't affect bosses. Defeating an enemy grants 5% ultimate and 25% ultimate damage rune on top. For a ring, the Call of the Hall, 50% takedown damage, 50% stagger, gain a random advantage on a takedown, and 25% area ability damage. And then finally the Twin Palladium, 4 rage on a kill, 15 rage generation, 50 maximum rage, damage increases with your current rage, so because of all our maximum rage, if you have this fully unlocked and you built all your rage up, you're piling out the damage. And a room for 25% rage generation because it just makes sense. And for your abilities, the Heroic Leap, the Spectral Bulwark, the Whirlwind, and for Golden Glory. Okay, and we've got some combat, so let's begin. And you can see we do some really good damage. If we were to do our heavy attacks, you can see we pile them out. Now we can get close and we got our Spectral Bulwark, that does that. But more importantly, we have our abilities, such as our smash ones like this. And we can really build up the stagger here. If we actually hit, there we go. 1,000 damage just from a heavy attack. Move out of the way of that. Now we are playing on underdog, so please bear that in mind. Ouch. And if we were to do one of our attacks like that, nice running attack, you see just how much damage it does. Now let's go find some more enemies and show off some more abilities. Let's take this dude here. And there's our Whirlwind. Incredible, and because that was a smash ability, would have reduced his AC, I say AC like it's Baldur's Gate, would have reduced his defense by the 30%. Now if you charge up your strikes like that, you can see we got the stagger and the takedown. And now we have our flaming weapons. And you'll see just how good our charge attacks are. Let's go find a bigger boss and I'll show you just how good this really can get.
We heard he was helping the Shadow Dragons.
Then let's track them down.
Now obviously, like I said, you are a glass cannon. If you play better than me and you're good with the action RPG stuff, you're going to do much better with this type of combat. And there you go, we had our running one. And there we go. Now we can do our amazing ultimate. So if we were to land here, you'll see just how much damage and stagger we do. And it's the same if we do that. You'll see how quickly that stagger bar built up. Now you see we are at low health, so if I was to do the takedown, and there you go, enhanced damage, deflect, and flaming weapons, and we healed up. And that works on all enemies. And if you really need to, again, coming back in with this, you see just how many hits you get to do. It's crazy. And if you do begin to get overwhelmed in this build, that's where Spectral Bulwark comes in handy again. And just like that, we've fully healed up almost. It's just such a fun build. And if you get the items even more made up or unlocked, such as what I haven't got, you can really increase the damage even more. And you see, got the wheat and status effect, all the armor gone. And then we can come back in here with our charge attacks. You'll see we instantly got more rage. And it's just such a good AoE type build. Now obviously you're going to want to play more tactically than I do, but it is a nice little way to show off. Get a nice little revive charge, I was saying, that heals you to full health. And and you can essentially just keep going in there because your rage will keep regenerating. If you watch the rage bar while we're actually doing this, the rage increases. So watch the rage bar, you see it went down. Now unfortunately there wasn't enough enemies to fully show that off. But this is just what it's all about, just constantly building up that rage, dealing your heavy attacks, getting those charged final attacks with 1,000 damage a hit. So yeah, I hope you have fully enjoyed this build. If you have, please let me know in the comments below. Like I said, play it more tactically than I am because I'm just trying to show you everything you can do. And it's a little tricky to concentrate and talk at the same time. But if you have enjoyed this build, please... Oh, you can see there how much the rage built up from expending rage. It's crazy. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this build. If you have, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you changed, what you do differently, what the items you would use. If you haven't already, please drop the episode a like and subscribe to the channel. I have a bunch more Dragon Age builds on here. I've got a bunch of Let's Play episodes and all sorts. Now, just as proof, because I know people are very fussy about this, if we come to our gameplay, you can see we are playing on Underdog, and you saw how well and how viable the build is. So again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.